Well, I'd like to thank the organizers for giving us this opportunity to tell you about Biogen and about what we're doing in gene therapy. Next slide, please. So at Biogen, we've decided to focus on neuroscience, and I'd like to say why. Why now? And first, I want to begin by saying that the unmet need is very, very high. We have very few disease-modifying therapies for this disease area, and the unmet need is only growing as the population ages. The other reason is that we have a much improved understanding of the molecular pathophysiology of disease, which leads us to validated targets, drug targets. This is because of the advances in human genetics, augmented by clinical pathologic observations, which are in turn augmented by advances in imaging, so we can look longitudinally at molecular changes over time in the same patient. And then we have a growing list of effective drugs, disease-modifying drugs, that provide clues to making even better drugs. Also, we have new modalities that are available. It used to be that neurological diseases with CNS targets required small molecule drugs. But now we know that proteins, biologics, can get into the brain. We also have antisense oligonucleotides when injected intrathecally that can penetrate vast areas of the central nervous system. And finally, we are very excited about the potential for gene therapy. And in fact, we already have some drugs that are approved, one drug in particular for SMA, for gene therapy against the CNS target. We have improved measurement capabilities so that we can get human proof of biology and proof of concept with high fidelity. And these include not only imaging, but also serum markers such as neurofilament. And we have now digital tools that help us look at the neurological function in patients. And then I'd end by saying that there's growing regulatory acceptance of novel phase 3 endpoints, and which thus provide novel approval pathways. So for all these reasons, we're very excited about the potential for neuroscience and what the future holds for promising new drugs. Next slide, please. So we've decided to focus on neuroscience and neurological disorders, and we've listed some of the diseases that we're focusing on here, beginning with multiple sclerosis, where we've been able to introduce drugs now for 20 plus years, Alzheimer's disease, spinal muscular atrophy, ALS, Parkinson's, and then choroideremia, a disease of the retina. And we view the back of the eye, the retinal diseases, as part of the central nervous system. It's the #1 cause of disability worldwide, and it's the #2 cause of death worldwide. And that speaks to the unmet need that I mentioned earlier. Next slide, please. This is our clinical development pipeline, so all programs that have entered phase 1 all the way to phase 3 and beyond. I would say that if we look at our core growth areas, they're in the diseases I mentioned in the previous slide, but we also have emerging growth areas where we're starting to work in these areas and have a few programs in, for example, pain, neurocognitive disorders, acute neurology, which includes stroke and brain contusion. And then we also do have some programs in immunology for systemic lupus erythematosus. I would mention that we have programs in phase 1 through phase 3, and that we have essentially all the modalities I mentioned earlier represented, beginning with small molecules, but also antisense oligonucleotides, antibodies to various targets. And then we do have 2 gene therapy programs in the ophthalmology space, one for choroideremia in phase 3, and one for X-linked retinitis pigmentosa in phase 2. So far, our gene therapy efforts are restricted to retinal diseases, where the gene therapy is delivered subretinally, directly into the eye. But as Junghae will point out when she talks about our preclinical pipeline, that we have huge plans for going much further into gene therapy. And hopefully many of the programs that Junghae will talk about will end up in the clinic. And so in a future talk, we'll be talking about a slide like this will be populated by many more gene therapy programs. So with that, I think that's my last slide, and I'm gonna turn it over to Junghae.
All right, thanks, Al. And thanks to the organizers for working so hard to put together this virtual conference this year. Again, my name is Junghae Seo, and I head the Gene Therapy Accelerator Unit at Biogen. The Accelerator Unit was created to really solve the key rate-limiting steps in our technologies, capabilities, and drug discovery and development processes to accelerate gene therapy programs through our pipeline. In order to support this mission, the activities in the accelerator can be broken up into two broad categories: technology innovation and portfolio delivery. Our technology innovation efforts are really aimed at identifying and, most importantly, solving those technological challenges that exist in the field today. The idea is that if we can solve those problems, we would enable more gene therapy programs to enter our pipeline with higher probability of success. Now, the other bucket here, portfolio delivery, as you heard, Biogen is investigating several other therapeutic modalities: biologics, small molecules, ASOs, and now gene therapy. And so we have very robust drug discovery and development processes here at the company. And it's really about adapting and optimizing those processes to support gene therapy programs and to really facilitate their movement through our pipeline. Here is our gene therapy preclinical pipeline. It is quite robust already. And as you've heard, our most advanced gene therapy programs are in the ophthalmology space. They came in through our Nightstar acquisition that occurred in the early part of 2019. And then early part of 2020, so just this year, we announced our collaboration with Sangamo Therapeutics. And you can see our two named programs. We do have a third program with Sangamo that is currently undisclosed. And then most recently, we announced news of our collaboration with Mass Ioneer to develop a PRP-F31 gene therapy program. And beyond these, you can see we have a number of homegrown gene therapy programs spanning multitude of therapeutic areas of our interest. So we are quite excited at the growth of our preclinical gene therapy pipeline. Now, in order to really support that portfolio growth, we've been thinking very, very carefully and very hard about what foundation we want to build here at Biogen to support that growth. And for the accelerator unit, we think a lot about that preclinical discovery space. And in that space, we think a lot about these four pillars that are shown on the slide here. We are a neuroscience company, and so we need capsids that can deliver genes into the CNS, eye, and muscle at greater potencies. There are some genetic targets that need a little bit more finesse, and so that may mean we need more sophisticated cargo components like regulatory elements or gene editing tools. And as a field, we all agree we need more innovations in vector production platforms, technologies, and processes to increase the overall yield and scalability. And since we are delivering into the CNS, we have a lot more work to do to characterize the various routes of administration, as well as the immunogenicity and safety profiles of our therapeutic candidates. There is a lot of work to be done, and so this is where we know we can't do it all alone. We need external innovators, and we want to work with external innovators to tackle all of these challenges. And so we are looking forward to hearing from you about your clinical stage assets, cargo technologies, delivery platforms, delivery technologies like devices, production platforms, and other capabilities that will truly help us accelerate the delivery of therapeutics to our patients. You may ask, why would you even consider working with Biogen as a collaborator? Our number one asset, what we bring to the table, is our world-class experts in neuroscience, immunology, drug discovery and clinical development, manufacturing, commercial, regulatory, and medical. I've personally only been at Biogen for a little bit over a year now, and I've already been quite blown away and very impressed with the caliber of talent here at the company. So I hope you work with us and tap into our network of experts. As you saw, our clinical portfolio is quite extensive, and we're testing multiple therapeutic modalities for the variety of therapeutic areas that we are interested in. And we are absolutely learning from these clinical trials, and these lessons are helping us inform clinical trial designs as well as endpoints. And of course, we're deeply engaged with the patient communities we aim to serve. Now, Biogen started as an academic startup over 40 years ago. And since then, the company has invested tremendous resources, time, energy, and attention to building out a robust industrialized process for both drug discovery and development. We know how to deliver the portfolio. And so I hope you are able to work with us and tap into this well-oiled machine that is Biogen. And this last point here is really speaking to Biogen's Goldilocks position in the industry. So really saying Biogen is large enough that we have robust industrialized processes, but we're also small enough in that we are agile and we can align rapidly to changes in science, technology, and the external landscape. We know how to mobilize our experts, our infrastructure, and resources to solve the problems that we know are the most important in gene therapy. And you know that the solutions we come up with will be compatible with commercialization. So here's our one slide summary of the key takeaways. I've introduced you to the Gene Therapy Accelerator unit here at Biogen. We think a lot about technology innovation and portfolio delivery. The second is our gene therapy portfolio in the preclinical space is growing. We have 15 and counting to date. We are investing heavily in building out a strong foundation for gene therapy at Biogen. We think a lot about, again, capsid, cargo, production, and performance. And this last point here, we're looking for you. We're looking for external innovators that we can work with. And we want to hear about your compelling assets, technologies, and capabilities. But even beyond that, we are looking for collaborators who share our values and our commitment for delivering transformative therapies to patients in need. So with that, thank you so much. And we all look forward to hearing from you.